Fanboy Friday with Mark Walters and Robert Miguel.
Coyote Country 104.9.
It is Fanboy Friday, and our fanboy is not here. He's busy with his Dallas comic show in Louisville, Texas right now. But really interestingly enough, tomorrow happens to be International Cosplay Day, and I've got a professional cosplayer on the phone with me right now. Krystle Starr, how you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Wow, this is so cool. Now, first of all, I got to say, I've got to urge any red-blooded young American male that is on his computer right now to check out your Instagram. What's the Instagram?
My Instagram is Krystle Star Wars, KrystleStarrwars. And I actually have another one as well called Starfleet Academy because I have a love for Star Wars and Star Trek.
Well, I got to say, okay, Krystle Star Wars on Instagram, and my lord, you might just be the most beautiful woman I have and ever will talk to in my life.
Well, thank you.
Oh my.
Yeah, I definitely have a ton of fun with the costumes, for sure.
So, no, well, not only that, I mean, you're just naturally a beautiful lady, and I'm telling you what, in costume...
I do put on a lot of makeup when I do the costumes. Definitely do dark eyes and lipstick. Normally, I actually never wear makeup. Like right now, I don't have any makeup on. I actually am not a fan of makeup whatsoever. But when I cosplay, that's kind of like the beauty of cosplay is I get to paint my face, put my war makeup on, do the big, fake eyelashes, and the bronzer and the mascara and all the amazing eyeshadows. And I really, really just go to town with completely transforming myself.
Well, and that's what cosplay is about, right? I mean, like you said, you're kind of, you don't really do that in real life, but in cosplay, you become a totally different person, right?
Very true, yes. Cosplay is definitely a form, well, not for everyone, but I would say for a good amount of us, cosplay is a form of release and a form of art and exploration and just like really getting to live that fantasy for the few hours that you have it on.
Now explain it for those maybe the elders in the audience or people that just aren't cool like fanboys like myself. Explain, I guess, in your best, most simplest terms, what exactly is cosplay?
So cosplay is actually a term that wasn't even around when I first started cosplaying. I've been cosplaying for about, I guess, like a decade now. Wow. I started in junior high, and I dabbled in it a little bit in high school. And then, like, my first really, true Comic Con was an anime convention here in Dallas called A-Con, and that's where I, really learned about, my dressing up has a name, and the name is cosplay, and that means costume play. So, originally, it was, really, people really would dress up in their characters and really kind of become their characters for the day. You don't really see too much of that nowadays. It's a little bit more mainstream these days.
Right, yeah.
You just have, I think a lot of people just kind of do it for the fun.
It's a bandwagon thing now.
Aspect of it. Yeah, so it's definitely become mainstream and way more popular these days. Now you can literally go on, Amazon and type in cosplay and get results, and quite a few of them as well.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this. Now, you mentioned how it's really grown over the last 10 years since you've started, and I've noted that too as well. What do you think is the primary reason for that pop? I mean, let's be honest. This is the kind of thing we can go back years to the old Star Wars and Star Trek fans, mostly guys, you know what I mean, who would put on their Spock ears or get a prop lightsaber, and we'd act like we're Han Solo or Luke Skywalker for a day. But ladies, not so much, but lately I feel like women have really embraced pop culture, cosplay. I believe cosplay has a lot to do with it. I don't know, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I've been studying cosplay for a really long time, and I think a lot of it has to do with the economy and just kind of like our, the millennials' escape from reality. I think that, decades ago you had, people went out dancing, and they went, my grandmother, for example, still goes dancing every week at, at the senior centers, and that was a form of release for them. Sadly, theirs is a little bit more, you get your cardio in with theirs as well. But I think for our generation, I think that our form of communication and getting out of the house and interacting with others, I think a large part of that, for those, and don't get me wrong, there are definitely cosplayers who drink, but, you can go to bars, But if you really want to be expressive and meet people who are into the same genres and like nerd culture things that you are, I think that, you know, more and more people are starting to go to these conventions to escape reality. And it's a form of entertainment, 100%. It's kind of like going to a movie, except you kind of get to become the movie. You know, now cosplay is so much more about getting those photos for Instagram, getting those photos for the internet, you know, getting with a photographer to make sure that you've captured all of your hard work. So I think that it's definitely it's evolving every day. Like, it's nowhere near completion. I think that cosplay has, you know, a lot more to go, and I'm really excited for the future of cosplay as well.
Well, we are talking to Krystle Starr, Krystle Star Wars on Instagram. Find her, just beautiful woman, all kinds of awesome costumes. What are your favorite characters? What's your go-to, like, whenever you're doing cosplay?
So if I get invited to a convention and it's kind of last minute and I don't have time to make a new costume, which I try to do, but if it's one of my favorite outfits to do is and most requested outfits to bring out to shows by fans and or the convention heads would be the Slave Leia. One of my favorites.
No, wait, say that again. We broke up a little bit. What was that character again?
Slave Leia. So this is Carrie Fisher's metal bikini from Return of the Jedi.
Oh, my Lord, yes. Okay. I'm going to have to find that now. So, yeah, like you said, very popular with everybody, I'm sure, all generations, right? It is.
In fact, one of my favorite photos is with myself and a 3 or 4 year old girl who's dressed up as as Carrie Fisher and as the New Hope Leia, Princess Leia, and then she saw me, and I've got, like, whoever took the picture just really captured the moment. She's just looking up at me in awe, and she's so, I don't know if it's the jewels or my smile, but she just looks so incredibly happy to be next to me, and it's still to this day one of my highest likes photos and one of my personal favorites because it's so nice to be, you know, that not only do all these men appreciate this, but also like this young girl, you know, is really captivated by this costume as well. So that one was one that kind of like touched my heart, and my Slave Leia photos are definitely the #1 bestsellers in my collection.
Well, I'm sure, especially in light of, you know, recently how we lost Carrie Fisher, I'm sure that really just strikes, you know, a chord in everybody's hearts. And of course, I mean, she's just an icon.
And that's another reason I chose to do, you know, the Slave Leia, Carrie Fisher costume in the first place was because when I was growing up, she was one of the first princesses that didn't need saving.
Right.
She could do it herself, and it was one of the first female characters growing up that I really, really recognized, you know, and like kind of like saw myself in, or at least someone that I wanted to be. She was so strong, so powerful, and strong-willed, and just, you know, everything about Princess Leia's story was just absolutely on point, and I really, really, it struck a chord for sure.
Well, I'm looking right now at your Instagram, and there's some really great shots of you as Slave Leia. Everybody's got to go check those out. Again, it's Krystle Star Wars, and there's a really cool shot of you with Mark Hamill, so that's kind of cool, huh?
Yes, and actually I did get to meet Carrie Fisher before she passed away. I used to teach adults with special needs, and over at My Possibilities and in Plano, and I started a comic club there. We took the entire comic club, which is about 30 of my students, to Dallas Fan Expo, and they got to meet Carrie Fisher. They got to meet just so many wonderful actors and actresses. And, you know, sadly, we were just so caught up in the moment with Carrie that we didn't get a picture. But we went to her booth, and we talked to her for so long, and she just took her time with each one of my students and was so amazing and down to earth and just incredibly calm and cool, and just she really, really made it for my students. She was just an amazing human being.
Wow, what a great story. Now tell me this, with all the many costumes you've done and all the things, some of them you bought, I'm sure some of them you put together yourself, what is your greatest costume fail? And answer this in two ways. What was your costume fail as far as, like, you know, malfunction, a la Janet Jackson possibly? And what's your biggest costume fail where you just thought it was going to go over well and maybe it fell flat? You got any stories like that?
Yeah, of course. So my first attempt at an Ewok costume went terribly wrong. And the thing with me is I am very much a procrastinator, and I will typically wait like 2 days before the convention to even start my costume for the most part. And I was like, oh, an Ewok, how hard is it going to be to make like a hoodie and some fur? You know, I in my head, it was just, it went very smoothly. And then the night before the show, I was like scrambling, and I could not figure out how to make this hood look good on myself. And the day of the con came, and I tried everything on, and my girlfriend was like, you know, normally I wouldn't say this, but she's like, it looks really bad. Like, it just looks really, really bad. And I looked in the mirror, and I just looked like a fuzzy potato. There was nothing cute or sexy about it, so I wound up wearing an old costume. But to my defense, I have since I remade the costume, I think back in late 2016 or early 2017, and I actually made not one but two, and my girlfriend Laura, Clever Fangirl, and I took that to LA Comic-Con and totally rocked them, and then we went to Disney in them afterwards and just had a blast. It was our friendiversary, so it was just a very, very good way to celebrate our friendiversary at Disney in the Ewok costume.
Well, that's awesome. I'm sorry about the costume fail. That sucks. But, you know what, since this is radio and nobody can actually...
And I made a great one. It was perfect. And in cosplay, you're going to fail. You're going to fail not once, not twice. You're going to fail a dozen times. You're going to burn yourself. You're going to cut yourself. You're going to stab yourself. It's just it is part of cosplay, and you're going to be stressed out. You're going to be, you know, a complete chaos in, like, sitting in this mound of material. You're going to lose things, and it's going to be, you know, but at the end of the day, like, once you've made your costume and you're at the con and you feel confident in it, you know, it's just an amazing feeling. It's a really wonderful feeling.
I can only imagine the work you go through. One year, me and my daughter, we made matching Star Trek shirts, basically really simple with the insignia, the emblem, and then some like I guess trim around the sleeves. And boy, I'll tell you what, man, if I didn't just yell and curse for like 48 hours straight just doing a simple red and yellow shirt, it was terrible. So yeah, I truly respect. There's obviously a lot of hard work you guys put into this, and we do appreciate it because it is just a beautiful art form, of course. Now, again, this is radio, so the listeners can't really see you. When they go to your Instagram, what are some of the costumes, some of the roles we should look for? What are your favorites that you like to show off?
I just say scroll down. On my Instagram, you're going to see a lot of my comic on there, so you're going to see a lot of cartoon adventures with my girlfriend Sam and I. Sam lives in California, and I live here in Dallas, and we go on a lot of adventures together. And so keep an eye out for Sam and I, and then between those photos, you will see, I would say like 13 and up, maybe 14 and up photos. It's Instagram.
No, everything's very tasteful on here. You're fine. I would let my 12-year-old daughter look at you any day. It's not that bad. You're just a very beautiful. Yeah. You're a beautiful lady, and you're showing what you got. It's all good. Don't hate the cosplayer, hate the game.
For real. I can't stress that. That's a really big thing that goes on in the community, though. It's not always rainbows and sunshine. Sometimes, people get catty, people get jealous, and I think what your comment, don't hate the cosplayer, hate the game, or don't hate the cosplay, hate the game. I think that's a really good statement to make because so many girls now are trying to compete, and so it's kind of like who could show the most skin, who could do the most, the sexiest boudoir cosplay of this character, and at the end of the day, I think one of your questions that you sent over to me was kind of like, what is cosplay and what isn't cosplay?
Uh-huh.
I think that arguably, it's, I don't think there's anything that's not cosplay. I think that, if you want it to be cosplay, then I think it's cosplay. I think that is all kind of like, up to the cosplayer, and anyone can be a cosplayer. You don't have to... there's no requirement needed. You can literally just jump in. My dad, actually, I dressed him up as Mario and his buddy Luigi, which is funny because my dad's kind of short and round, and his buddy's tall and thin. And then I dressed up as Princess Peach, and
awesome.
We went to a con one year, and it was absolutely amazing. So I don't think there's no age limit. There's no requirements. It's really just how you want to express yourself.
Well, that's awesome. Again, we're talking to Krystle Starr. Find her on Instagram at Krystle Starr Wars. How do you spell that again? It's more complicated than it sounds.
It is. I have the weirdest spelling. It's KrystlestarWars. And yes, my last name Starr has 2 R's like Ringo Starr.
And I'm sure if you put Krystle Star Wars in, you're going to be one of the first things that pops up, on Google anyway. But thank you so much for talking to us again. Tomorrow is International Cosplay Day. We've been talking to Krystle Starr here, a professional cosplayer. And again, let us know where you're going to be this weekend.
I'm going to be at the Dallas Comic Show.
With Mark Walters.
It is definitely one to go check out.
All right, very good. And go to DallasComicShow.com for all the information. Do you have any other, social media or websites you want to plug while you're here?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and check out Star Trek Adversaries. It's a new Star Trek video game that I helped create. It's out on Steam. It's mobile, so iPhone, Android. It's completely free. It's called Star Trek Adversaries.
Cool.
And, hopefully you guys can have some fun and beat your Klingon and Romulan friends.
That is awesome. And it's really cool and encouraging to see somebody that loves Star Wars and Star Trek, and it's not a fight, you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I've worked on Star Wars Connect and Star Trek Adversaries, so I definitely go both ways.
Well, Krystle, thank you so much for checking in for International Cosplay Day and joining us here on Fanboy Friday, okay?
Sounds wonderful. Thank you, guys. We'll see you at the show.
Fanboy Friday with Mark Walters and Robert Miguel.
Coyote Country 104.9.